So I'm still pretty burnt out from last week's debacle. If you haven't seen that, basically I finished my revisions in 3 days and I ended up rewriting like 50,000 words or something insane like that. You can go check it out. I'll leave the link somewhere here. And my workload honestly hasn't been letting up, and I don't think it will let up anytime soon. So this week we're doing something a little bit different, and I'm going to be giving you guys some book recommendations. Honestly, I was sort of debating whether or not to do a book recommendations video, mostly because I don't read that much. The volume of books that I read per year is very small compared to a lot of people I know. My average is like 20 to 30 books a year, and I am pretty much never up to date with new releases. For one thing, I can't really allocate a lot of my budget to buying books every week that they come out. I tend to go to used bookstores or look on sites like Thrift Books or Book Outlet. I think one of those is now problematic. I haven't bought books in a while that are new, that's all I'm saying. So with this list in particular, I am pretty sure that 90% of y'all have already read these. So all of these are dreamier, sort of magical fantasy recommendations. And so my hope is that if you liked one of these books, you'll like the rest of the books on this list. Right now, I'm sort of enjoying these softer magic systems and world building. Basically any fantasy that invokes a sense of magic or dreaminess. So without further ado, here are 7 fantasy books that invoke that vibe. The first book on my list is The Astonishing Colour of After by Emily X.R. This is a young adult, sort of contemporary fantasy, but not quite book. It's one of those where the genre is harder to categorize. Basically, it's a contemporary with magical elements. The premise of this is a half Taiwanese and half white girl's mom commits suicide and turns into a bird. So she follows that trail to Taiwan, where she reconnects with her estranged grandparents and learns more about her family's troubled history. I like this book a lot, even though it has a topic that personally is very upsetting to me. But I like books that make me sad. I like books that sort of hit me where it hurts. And the prose in this has a really just poetic quality to it, while also remaining simple and easy to digest. The magical elements are a subtle touch to a really heartfelt contemporary story. In particular, the dynamics that the main character has with her estranged grandparents. Specifically, this one part where she realizes that they can't fully connect because of the language barrier. That's something that I, and pretty much like every diaspora kid, probably has experienced. It just feels like an incredibly genuine story. So while this book isn't for everyone, if you think you're able to handle this content, then I really recommend it. So the next books I have are Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares. This is a duology by Laini Taylor, who also wrote the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I think that's right. That's probably right. So everyone who knows me knows that this is my favorite book of all time. It is sort of hard to summarize, but basically it starts with an orphaned librarian who travels across the desert to this mythological town that no one can remember the name of, and a lot of weird stuff happens there, including him meeting the girl of his dreams. I mean, like, this book, I don't even know how to... It's just everything that I like. It really is. The moment that you open it up and read the first couple lines, you can feel the power that Laini Taylor's writing style has. She just has such a unique way of looking at the world and writing about it. I've never seen anything like it, and I honestly don't think it can be replicated. I kind of feel like Laini Taylor might be a witch, and that's how she has this kind of power, which, like, good for her. This is more like mythology vibes than fairy tale vibes, but yeah, if you haven't read this, you should. It's a whole new gold standard for young adult fantasy. So I don't have a physical copy of this next book, but it is Empress of Salt and Fortune by nghi. This is actually a novella, and it's the first in what I think is going to be 2 or 3 books. They're called the Singing Hill Cycle, so there might be more than that. This is an adult fantasy novella, so it's quite short and easy to get through. So this is 2 stories in one. It's about a cleric and their bird friend and an old woman who is telling them the story of the previous empress and how the previous empire sort of fell. I really like that narrative framing device of someone telling the story to someone else, especially since the woman telling them has a personal stake in the story, but she's not super important to the tale. So you get this sort of boots on the ground perspective of this massive historical event. This book made me realize that I need to read more novellas. I think the faster pacing that is sort of required by the shorter length is just more manageable for me. Sometimes I can't get past the first 100 pages of a book for months because I'm just waiting for the event horizon. Also, like, I miss the feeling of actually finishing a book. There is a follow-up coming on December 8th called When the Tiger Comes Down the Mountain. So get on that before the second one comes out. My physical copy of this book is also currently out of my hands, but it is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is a standalone adult fantasy with a winter setting. It's about a moneylender's daughter who becomes a moneylender because her dad sucks at the job, and she gets a reputation for being able to turn silver into gold, which catches the eye of this, like, demon? They call him the Steric King. He's like some kind of weird monster. So this one took me a little bit to get to. I read Naomi Novik's Uprooted book first, and I kind of really didn't like that one. It just wasn't for me, unfortunately. So it took me a while to get to this one, but once I picked it up, I sped through it pretty quickly, actually. So that's a lesson right there. I think I really like standalones, especially for adult books, because series are a lot of commitment for me. Even like 2 books is a lot of commitment. So as you can probably tell from the premise, this book kind of has a lot going for it. It's very well thought out, it's very clever. The world and the magic have rules, but they don't feel restrictive, which is what I really like. I found the main character really compelling. I also thought her family was so cute. Like, they're some of the nicest parents to ever grace fantasy, I feel like. The way they just take care of everyone. So the next book I have is another young adult fantasy, and it is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. This is the first book of, I believe, a duology. Unravel the Dusk, the follow-up, came out a couple months ago, I want to say, but I still haven't read the second book, so I can't speak for that one, but I really enjoyed this one. It's sort of been pitched as like Mulan meets Project Runway, and it's about a girl, Taylor, who is disguised as a man who goes to court, like palace court, not like court of law. She enters a sort of palace competition to become the next queen's official tailor, only to be sent on an impossible quest to make 3 dresses out of the laughter of the sun, the tears of the moon, and the blood of the stars. So already you can kind of see what I mean, like those 3 things pretty much solidify the mythology sort of energy that this book has. It is also really well written. Again, simple but gorgeous. It has like a sparkle to it, you know? That's what I like. I don't like it to be too purple. I don't like it to be too hard to understand. Just a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of unexpected metaphors and similes, and nice sentence structure, nice rhythm and flow. Like, that's what I like, and that's what this has. It is a quest narrative, which I'm extremely partial to, but I know aren't for everyone. The one thing I will say is that the romance was really lukewarm. Her love interest is some sorcerer guy, and I was just like, like, that's fine. But I just wasn't super invested in their relationship so much as like learning more about the world and the mythology and their weird quest to make dresses out of weird things. The next book I have is one that I actually finished reading last night, so yay for me, I finished my 20th book of the year, and it is The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. I think this is the first in a trilogy. I really should have like looked up whether these are parts of series or not. Oh my god, yeah, it is a trilogy. It says it right on the cover. But this is a historical fantasy set in 14th century Russia. It's about a girl who's descended from witches, and she sees all the sort of folklore creatures, like the house spirits and stuff that protect and guard their community. But then the priest comes into town and tries to purge the village of all its old superstitions. This definitely does feel like the first book in a trilogy. I'm excited to pick up the second one. I will sometime, eventually. It definitely is like the most aggressive fairy tale energy that I've seen in an adult fantasy book in a while. By fairy tale, I mean like the traditional sort of dark, children get eaten by witches in the woods sort of fairy tales, which fits it really well. The main character is awesome, like she's a horse girl, but whatever. She just has so much like spunk to her, and the prose is really captivating. It was just a really pleasant read, and it was quite quick-paced, although it is quite a bit of setup at the beginning. I highly recommend it, especially for people who may have read Spinning Silver and enjoyed that. I think everyone who's read Spinning Silver has read this, so again, I'm late to the game. And the last book I have today is one that I actually haven't finished reading. I started a couple days ago, and I'm about this far, but I'm already really enjoying this one. This is a young adult fantasy as well. It's actually contemporary fantasy, which is cool. I love to see those, because I write them. And this is Star Daughter by Shveta, thakrar. So this is about a girl who's half human, half star, whose mom who was a star, left her to go back to the Star Kingdom, and she's sort of caught between wanting to show the world who she is and just live the normal life that her family, her human family, expect from her. And this kind of all goes to shit when she accidentally injures her father, and the only cure for that is star blood. So she has to ascend to the sky and get some blood. I explained that really poorly. This is another one with really nice mythological energy. It just imbues the myth of it very well, while also keeping the main character human and grounded, which I really enjoy. So far, she's just a really fun character to follow. Once in a while, I'll read a line from this book that just makes me sort of set the book down and look at the ceiling and wonder why I can't write like that, which, you know, is a sign that I'm really loving what I'm reading. And I mean, obviously I haven't finished it yet, so take this recommendation with a grain of salt. I feel like more people should know about this. Also, look at the cover. Hold on. My light is sort of messing it up, but it's sparkly and gold, and I just really like a nice cover. So yeah, I just figured I'd throw this on the list because it fits with what I have here, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Okay, so that was my list. That was 7 fantasy books with dreamy vibes that I really recommend. I hope you like this. I might do more lists like this if I ever read more than one book every 2 weeks. I post a video every Thursday, so if you guys want to stay on top of that, please subscribe. Thank you for watching this all the way through. I have a class now, so I'm going to go do that. Okay, I'll see y'all next week.